So our preconceived notions about people who are different to us, this can affect both our interpersonal relationships and our professional relationships. Now, what are some of the common challenges that one might encounter when we work within a diverse group of people? And how do we address these challenges effectively?
There's several ways. Maybe let's also just say that the most common that we find as a challenge in the workplace is stereotypes. The stereotypes that people hold about the other, and the most common stereotypes. If you, there's a common joke that goes around that says if you see a white man jogging in a suburb, he's probably jogging for health. He's like, part of a kind of a health club. If you see a black man running and jogging in that particular suburb, he's probably just stolen something and running away. And if you see a colored fellow who's running and jogging in the street, that colored fellow is probably just going around the corner and trying to fight someone, right? And then an Indian fellow is probably just setting up a store on the corner to make money. Those are the common stereotypes that we have about men, black women, and all other people in that sense. So stereotyping people is having a belief, is holding a belief that is not true, but that is made to be as if it's true, right? What are stereotypes about men or women? They are weak. They cannot make decisions. They're not tough in the boardroom, right? That's stereotyping people. So people need to navigate all of these typical stereotypes that exist in the workplace. Women with children, because you have a young baby, all of a sudden you come work to the workplace, people treat you differently. They think you cannot do X, Y, and Z. They cannot put you on projects. You cannot travel. And you lose opportunities for promotions and you look for opportunities for growth because you're seen differently. So navigating all of these elements is really from a valuing difference perspective. And this is how we manage diversity. Is that organizations must have, at the highest level, policies that guide these things. That this is the way to do. This is the way you manage productivity in the organization, or this is how you manage the workplace in terms of people behaviors, right? But also, you can have goals that you set out and say, these are the strategies, these are the goals to get to this. These are strategies at the level of teams. There are strategies that will at the level of the unit or the department or the section. So companies need to be able to have a structured approach to dealing with some of the challenges that people have in terms of when they navigate differences or conflict that comes with as a result of differences. I think the most powerful, though, is just when you actually ensure that the teams within organizations, because we operate mostly in teams, understand the power of difference and respect it and work with it, which means if on a day-to-day basis we know that so-and-so is strong at this, and this is a person we'll put up on our first line of defense. This is a person who's come on the second line of defense. Let's use that as a strategy, because within everybody's skill set or uniqueness or strength is going to be used for us to achieve our goals. I don't know, we're having this conversation right now. South Africa has just celebrated a World Cup win of rugby, right? I just wish people can just go and check the snippets that the captain has been making. It's almost like a politician, but talking diversity in the context of South Africa. This gentleman says, do not just do numbers as a strategy. Because if you're saying people have a difficulty of these are the challenges they face, that they just add numbers. Because of there's just too many white people, we just have a few black people. That's affirmative action. You're measuring that on numbers. But is that going to make a difference? Probably not. You're going to show the world that there's a black man or a black woman in a boardroom. But that's not adding value if you do that. That's a typical affirmative action approach. It's legislative. It doesn't help you much. What you need is to build that into a culture of doing things, a way of respecting and appreciating that difference. And this captain teaches us a lot in the snippets that we hear on the media about how everybody comes on board, and how everybody respects each other's roles, and how it is not just about numbers. It's about everybody coming to the party and actually making us win. And therefore, he has extended that narrative so powerfully about diversity and harnessing diversity. And the rugby team of South Africa has done it using the same framework. The coach speaks to the same framework. But these guys have a history. They just did not start being a hunky-dory, happy-go family. It was tough. Now they're here. 2 World Cups in a row. Not done by many countries, actually 4, right? So it's really something that we need to appreciate what diversity management can do for a people, for a country, and for an organization.
Exactly. And I mean, the slogan says it, doesn't it? Stronger together.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's diversity and inclusion in practice. Now, let's take this more to the level of a junior staff member,
right,
or someone who's just starting out their studies and they perhaps don't have the same kind of pull that someone who is in a board meeting would have. How important is self-awareness for that kind of individual when they've got to manage conflicts that arise because of diversity challenges?
I guess, one has to go back to when he was young as to how you did this. And I guess maybe many young people who are also watching this will then say, you don't know how it means because you've been there for so long. Erickson talks about stages of development. When you are a teenager and you get to a stage of being a youth, there's a stage called identity versus role confusion. You form your identity during a certain phase in your life. Now, some people, identities are formed by the time they join the workplace, but some people use the workplace to actually form that identity. So the workplace is plays a very important part of a young person's life in terms of who they are and who they become. But if you come into the workplace and you already have an identity that is strong, that is firm, you're able to easily navigate the challenges there because you know who you are and you're able to express who you are. But if you're not, what you do is you immerse yourself in the culture of that organization and actually navigate the challenges and see what works for you so that you can actually identify or form your own identity within that institution. I think salient to this is that you must be who you are. You must be yourself. I don't think anyone, even no matter young or old, if you enter into any organization or even young entering an organization, don't try and be somebody else. Be yourself so that people like you the way you are or they don't. Play in the team, understand the games, how the game is played in the workplace, and understand the rules and the regulations of how things happen in the workplace. But be authentically you. Because if you become that, then you don't have to change anything much. You will be, if that organization values diversity, you will actually thrive because you are who you are.